For 12 years, her husband convinced her she was worthless, broken, a failure. Then, on one freezing November night, after she'd lost everything, a widowed father with 5 grieving children found her alone on a bench and chose her anyway. This is the story of a woman who thought her life was over, a family shattered by loss, and how sometimes the person you save ends up saving you right back. Before we continue, please tell us, where in the world are you tuning in from? We love seeing how far our stories travel. Logan Ashford gripped the steering wheel tighter than necessary, his knuckles white against the black leather. The dashboard clock blinked 9:47 p.m. He was late, again. The accounting firm had needed those reports finished tonight, and he'd stayed behind while his kids, 5 of them, all 6 years old, were with Mrs. Torrey next door. The elderly neighbor had been kind enough to watch them after school, but he could hear the exhaustion in her voice when he'd called to say he'd be late. He couldn't keep doing this. The streetlights cast long shadows across the empty road as Logan turned onto Maple Street. That's when he saw her. A woman sat hunched on a wooden bench near the bus stop, arms wrapped around herself, trembling in the November cold. Her blonde hair caught the orange glow of the streetlight, and even from a distance, Logan could see she had nothing, no coat, no bag, just the thin dress she wore. He should keep driving. God knows he had enough problems. But his foot hit the brake before his mind could argue.
Logan pulled over, leaving the engine running. He stepped out, the cold air biting at his face. "Miss, are you all right?" The woman's head snapped up, and Logan saw fear flash across her face, raw, primal fear that made him take an instinctive step back, hands raised. "I'm not gonna hurt you," he said quickly. You're shivering. It's freezing out here." Up close, he could see her better. 30-something, with straight blonde hair that fell past her shoulders and a fringe that partially hid her eyes. Those eyes, hazel and haunted, stared at him with a mixture of suspicion and desperation. "I'm fine," she whispered, but her voice cracked on the word. "You're not fine." Logan kept his distance, his voice gentle. "When's the last time you ate?" She didn't answer. Her gaze dropped to her hands, and that's when Logan noticed the bruises on her wrists, red-brown marks that told stories he didn't need to hear to understand. Something in his chest heightened. "Look, I'm not asking for your life story, but it's going to drop below freezing tonight. There's a diner 2 blocks from here. Let me buy you a meal at least." "I don't have any money to pay you back." "I'm not asking you to." Vanessa Hayes looked up at this stranger, this tired-looking man with kind brown eyes and worry lines etched deep into his forehead, and felt something she hadn't felt in months. Hope. Small and fragile, but there.
"Why?" she asked. Logan ran a hand through his short brown hair, letting out a breath that clouded in the cold air. "Because someone helped me once when I needed it, because you look like you need it now, and because—" He paused, his expression softening. "Because I'd want someone to do the same if it was someone I cared about sitting out here alone." Vanessa stood slowly, her legs stiff from sitting for hours. She swayed slightly, and Logan instinctively reached out to steady her, then stopped himself when she flinched. "Sorry, I've got 5 kids at home. I'm used to catching people before they fall." 5. Despite everything, surprise colored her voice. Quintuplets. Logan's smile was tired but genuine. "It's chaos. Complete, beautiful chaos." They walked to his car, and Vanessa hesitated at the passenger door. "I promise I'm not a serial killer," Logan said with a slight smile. "Though I understand if you don't want to get in, I can just give you money for the diner if you'd prefer." But Vanessa was already opening the door. What did she have to lose? She'd already lost everything. The diner was nearly empty, just an older couple in the corner booth and a waitress who looked ready for her shift to end. Logan ordered coffee and a burger for himself, then looked at Vanessa. "Get whatever you want." She ordered soup and bread, her stomach too knotted to handle anything heavier. When the waitress left, an awkward silence settled between them. "I'm Logan. Logan Ashford." "Vanessa." She didn't give her last name. Hayes belonged to her old life, and she wasn't sure she wanted to carry it anymore.
"So, Vanessa," Logan wrapped his hands around his coffee mug, "are you from around here?" "No, I just arrived today." That was true enough. She'd taken a bus as far as Mrs. Priscilla's money would take her, ending up in this small town she'd never heard of before. Then her bag had been stolen within hours, leaving her with nothing but the clothes on her back and the one thing she'd kept in her pocket, a small locket that had belonged to her mother. "Do you have somewhere to stay?" Vanessa's silence was answer enough. Logan studied her for a long moment. He was good at reading people. Had to be, with 5 kids who each had their own ways of hiding pain. This woman was running from something, someone. The bruises, the fear in her eyes, the way she sat angled toward the exit, it all told the same story. He should offer her money for a motel. That would be the smart thing, the safe thing. Instead, he heard himself say, "I have a guest room." Vanessa's head snapped up. "What?" "I'm serious." Even as the words left his mouth, Logan wondered if he'd lost his mind. "It's not much, and my house is, well, like I said, it's chaos. But it's warm, it's safe, and you'd have a roof over your head." "You don't even know me."
"No," Logan admitted, "but I know what it's like to feel like you're drowning. And I know what it's like when someone throws you a rope." He met her eyes. "I'm not expecting anything. You can leave whenever you want. But right now, you need help, and I'm offering it." Vanessa felt tears prick her eyes. After everything Mike had put her through, after years of cruelty disguised as marriage, here was a stranger offering kindness with no strings attached. "Why would you do that? You have kids. You don't know anything about me." Logan took a sip of his coffee, choosing his words carefully. 2 years ago, my wife died. Cancer. Left me with 5 6-year-olds who'd just watched their mother fade away. His voice remained steady, but Vanessa could hear the pain beneath it. I was drowning. Couldn't keep a nanny for more than 2 weeks. Work was suffering. The kids were suffering. I was barely keeping my head above water. He looked at her directly. "I still am, if I'm being honest. Every nanny I hire quits within days. They all say the same thing. The quintuplets are too difficult, too much to handle, and they're right. My kids are grieving, they're acting out, and I don't know how to help them anymore." Vanessa understood immediately. "So you're not just offering me help, you're hoping I might help you?" "I'm being selfish, yes, but I meant what I said. You need a place to stay. I have one. No pressure. If you want to just rest and leave tomorrow, that's fine. But if you're looking for something more, I could use help with the kids in exchange for room and board." It wasn't charity. It was a transaction, which somehow made it easier to accept.
"I've never taken care of children before," Vanessa said quietly. "Have you ever been around chaos?" Despite everything, a small smile tugged at her lips. "Yes, I have." "Then you're already qualified." Logan's house was a modest 2-story home in a quiet neighborhood. Toys littered the front yard, a deflated soccer ball, a ping bicycle lying on its side, chalk drawings covering the driveway. "Sorry about the mess," Logan said as he unlocked the front door. "I gave up on perfection about 2 years ago." The inside was worse. Dishes piled in the sink, backpacks and shoes scattered across the living room floor, drawings taped haphazardly to the walls. But despite the chaos, Vanessa could see traces of love. Framed photos of 5 smiling children, a handmade "World's Best Dad" card on the fridge, and a worn teddy bear tucked carefully on the couch. This wasn't neglect. This was survival. "Mrs. Torrey probably put them to bed already," Logan said, glancing at the clock. It was past 10. "I'll show you to the guest room. Bathroom's down the hall. There's not much food in the house, but help yourself to whatever you find." He led her upstairs, past several closed doors where she could hear the soft sounds of sleeping children, to a small room at the end of the hall. It was sparse, a bed, a dresser, a small window overlooking the backyard, but it was clean and warm, and to Vanessa, it looked like paradise. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have no idea what this means." Logan paused in the doorway. "Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be loud, fair warning. 5 8-year-olds wake up like alarm clocks at 6 a.m.
After he left, Vanessa sat on the edge of the bed and let the tears finally fall. For the first time in 12 years, she'd spent an evening with a man who hadn't hurt her, belittled her, or made her feel worthless. For the first time since she was 19, she felt like maybe, just maybe, she could breathe. Morning came with the thunder of small feet and raised voices. Vanessa jolted awake disoriented, her heart racing. For a horrible moment, she thought she was back in Mike's house, waiting for him to storm in with accusations. Then she remembered. She was safe. This was Logan's home. She dressed quickly in the same clothes from yesterday, she had nothing else, and made her way downstairs following the sounds of chaos. The kitchen was a war zone. 5 children, 3 boys with short brown hair, and 2 girls with long curly brown locks, were talking over each other while Logan attempted to make breakfast. Burnt toast sat abandoned on a plate, and he was currently burning scrambled eggs while simultaneously trying to referee an argument about whose turn it was to use the blue bowl. "Nolan had it yesterday." "Did not. Ryan had it." "Noah spilled milk in it, so it doesn't count." "Harper, stop pulling Harlow's hair." "She started it." "Kids, this is Vanessa," Logan said, turning off the stove before he could burn anything else. Logan looked up and saw Vanessa standing in the doorway. Relief flooded his features. "Good morning," he said over the noise. "Welcome to breakfast." 5 pairs of eyes turned to stare at her. The room went silent. Vanessa felt her breath catch. These children were beautiful, all of them with their father's warm gray-brown eyes, varying shades of curiosity and suspicion written across their young faces. "Who are you?" This from Nolan, the tallest of the boys, his arms crossed defensively. "Kids, this is Vanessa," Logan said. "She's going to be staying with us for a while. She's going to help out around the house." "Like the other nannies?" Harper, one of the girls, asked. Her voice was sharp, challenging. "They all leave." "I'm not a nanny," Vanessa said quietly. "I'm just someone who needs a place to stay. Your dad was kind enough to help me." "Why?" Ryan, suspicious and direct. "Ryan?" Logan warned. "It's okay," Vanessa met the boy's eyes. "Because I didn't have anywhere else to go, and your dad is a good person." "Are you sad?" Harlow, the quieter of the 2 girls, tilted her head. The question caught Vanessa off guard. Children saw things adults tried to hide. "Yes," Vanessa answered honestly. "I am. But I'm trying not to be." "Our mom died," Noah volunteered, matter-of-factly. "That made us sad, too." "Noah," Nolan's voice was sharp, protective. Logan's expression tightened, but he didn't correct them. This was their way of processing, blunt, honest, searching for connection in shared pain. "I'm very sorry about your mom," Vanessa said gently. "That must be really hard." "You're not her," Harper said fiercely. "Don't try to be." "Harper," Logan started. "I don't want to be her," Vanessa interrupted, her voice firm but kind. "I couldn't be even if I tried. Your mom was special to you, and no one can replace her. I'm just Vanessa, that's all." Something in Harper's expression shifted, the hardness cracking just slightly.
Logan cleared his throat. "All right, everyone. Finish getting ready for school. The bus comes in 20 minutes, and half of you aren't even dressed." The children scattered like startled birds, leaving Logan and Vanessa alone in the kitchen. "Sorry about that," Logan said, scraping the burnt eggs into the trash. "They're protective of their mom's memory, and they've learned not to trust people who promise to stay." "They shouldn't trust me," Vanessa said. "They don't know me." "But you were honest with them. That's more than most people give them." He started cracking fresh eggs into a bowl.
You don't have to help, by the way. You can just rest today. But Vanessa was already picking up the dirty dishes. I'd like to help, if that's okay. For the first time since his wife died, Logan felt like maybe the weight on his shoulders had shifted just slightly. Maybe he didn't have to carry everything alone. The first week was a test of endurance. The quintuplets were, as Logan had warned, a handful. They tested Vanessa constantly, ignoring her requests, making messes she just cleaned, speaking to her only when absolutely necessary. Nolan was the ringleader, the one who watched her with sharp, assessing eyes, waiting for her to fail like all the others. Harper followed his lead, her grief manifesting as anger toward anyone who tried to fill the mother-shaped hole in their home. Ryan was quieter, but equally suspicious. Noah seemed willing to accept her, but took his cues from his siblings. And Harlow, sweet Harlow, wanted to trust, but was terrified of being hurt again. Vanessa understood. God, did she understand. She'd spent 12 years walking on eggshells, reading moods, trying to anticipate needs before they became demands. Those survival skills, born from abuse, somehow translated into patience these children desperately needed. She didn't push, didn't demand affection or gratitude. She just showed up.
Every morning, she made breakfast. Not perfectly. She burned things too, at first, but she kept trying. She packed their lunches, making sure to remember that Nolan hated mayonnaise, Harper only ate strawberry jam, Ryan needed his sandwich cut diagonally, Noah liked extra juice, and Harlow wanted her carrots with ranch dressing. She learned without asking, just by watching. When they came home from school, she didn't bombard them with questions. She just made snacks available and sat nearby, doing small tasks, present but not intrusive. Slowly, so slowly she almost didn't notice, they started softening. It was Noah who cracked first. Vanessa was folding laundry in the living room when he appeared, clutching a wrinkled piece of paper. "Can you help me?" he asked, his voice small. "Of course. What do you need?" He showed her the paper, a drawing assignment for school. "We're supposed to draw our family, but I don't know how to draw Mom anymore. I can't remember exactly what she looked like." Vanessa's heart broke. "Can I see photos of her?" Noah led her to Logan's study, where a framed photo sat on the desk. A beautiful woman with warm eyes and a bright smile, holding 5 babies, newborns swaddled in rainbow-colored blankets.
She was beautiful, Vanessa said softly. Your dad keeps her picture here so he can remember her while he works. That's love, Noah. Do you have pictures of your mom? Vanessa touched the locket around her neck, the one thing she'd managed to keep. Just one, in here. She died when I was young too. Did you forget what she looked like? Sometimes the details get fuzzy, Vanessa admitted, but I never forgot how she made me feel. Safe. Loved. That doesn't fade, even when faces do. Noah considered this. Dad says Mom loved us more than anything. Even when she was sick and the medicine made her tired, she still read us stories. Then that's what you draw, Vanessa suggested. Not just what she looked like, but what she did. Draw her reading to you. Draw the feeling. Noah's face lit up. He sat at the coffee table, and Vanessa sat across from him, folding laundry while he drew. He didn't ask her to help with the actual drawing. He just wanted someone there. Someone who understood that grief wasn't something you got over, but something you learned to carry. When Logan came home that evening and saw Noah's drawing, his mother reading to 5 small figures on a couch, he had to step outside for a moment. Vanessa found him on the porch, his shoulders shaking. I couldn't help him with that, Logan said roughly. Every time they ask about her, I freeze. I don't know how to talk about her without falling apart. You don't have to have all the answers, Vanessa said quietly. You just have to be there. You're doing better than you think.
Logan looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time wondered about the scars she carried. She'd been with them for 4 weeks, and he knew nothing about her except that she'd been hurt and she needed help. But she hadn't asked for anything. hadn't demanded explanations for his grief or the chaos. She had just quietly become part of the fabric of their broken little household. "Thank you," he said, "for helping him." "He helped me too," Vanessa replied, and it was true. These children, with their raw grief and honest emotions, were teaching her that it was okay to feel, okay to hurt, okay to heal. By the second month, Vanessa knew she couldn't just stay in Logan's house indefinitely without contributing beyond childcare. "I need to find a job," she told Logan one evening. "You help with the kids. That's not enough for me." Vanessa met his eyes. "I spent 12 years being financially dependent on someone who used it to control me. I need to stand on my own feet." Logan understood. "What kind of work are you looking for?" "Anything. I'll start anywhere." She found a position at a local bookstore, part-time, working while the kids were at school. It wasn't much, but the paycheck was hers. Her name on it. Her independence. The owner, an older woman named Margaret, took one look at Vanessa and seemed to see right through her. "You running from something, honey?" Margaret asked on her first day. Vanessa stiffened. "Why would you think that?" "Because I did the same thing 30 years ago. I know the look." Margaret handed her a stack of books to shelf. "Whatever you left behind, you're safe here. I don't ask questions, and I don't judge."
For the first time since leaving Mike, Vanessa felt like she could breathe at work. At home, progress with the kids was slow but steady. 9 weeks in, Harper was the only one still holding out. She was the toughest, the one who guarded her mother's memory most fiercely. She hid Haley's photos when Vanessa entered rooms, bristled at any suggestion Vanessa made, and made it clear that she was not welcome. Vanessa didn't take it personally. She recognized the armor. She'd worn similar protection for years. The breakthrough came on a rainy Tuesday. Vanessa was in the kitchen when she heard crying from upstairs. She found Harper in her room, tangled hair falling in her tear-streaked face and a broken brush in her hand. "I can't do it," Harper sobbed. "I can't make it look right. Mom always did it, and now it's all wrong." The girl's long curly hair was a mass of knots and frustration. Vanessa stood in the doorway, unsure. "Can I try to help?" "You'll just make it worse." "Maybe," Vanessa agreed, "but it can't get much more tangled than it already is." Harper hiccuped a laugh through her tears, and Vanessa took it as permission. She sat on the edge of the bed, and Harper reluctantly sat in front of her. "My mom used to brush my hair too," Vanessa said softly, working through the tangles with gentle fingers. "Every night before bed, she'd sing while she did it." "What song?" Vanessa's voice was rusty from disuse, but she sang anyway, a soft lullaby her mother had sung a lifetime ago. Her hands moved with practiced care, patient with each knot, never pulling too hard. Harper relaxed by degrees. "Your mom had curly hair too?" Harper asked. "She did. She always said it had a mind of its own." "That's what my mom said." Harper twisted to look at Vanessa, her eyes wide. "She said my hair was special, that it was strong and beautiful and wild, just like me." Your mom was right. When Vanessa finished, Harper's hair fell in soft, neat curls down her back. The girl ran to the mirror, touching her reflection with wonder. "You made it look like when Mom did it." Your mom had good taste. Vanessa started to stand, but Harper turned suddenly and wrapped her arms around Vanessa's waist. The hug was fierce and desperate, a child's grief pouring out in a single embrace. Vanessa held her, tears streaming down her own face, and let Harper cry for the mother she'd lost too soon. "I miss her so much," Harper whispered. "I know, sweetheart. I know." When Logan came to check on them an hour later, he found them sitting together on the bed, Harper's head on Vanessa's shoulder, both of them quiet, but no longer alone in their pain. That night, after the kids were in bed, Logan and Vanessa sat in the living room with cups of tea. It had become a routine, these quiet moments after the chaos subsided. Harper hasn't let anyone touch her hair since Haley died.
She'd rather it be tangled than let someone who wasn't her mom help. She's protecting the memory, Vanessa said. I understand that. Logan studied her in the soft lamplight. You never talk about yourself, about what you're running from.
Vanessa's hand instinctively brushed her wrist, where the bruises had mostly faded, leaving only faint shadows of the violence she'd endured. I was married, well, my father married me off, at 19, she said quietly. For 12 years, I lived with a man who made me believe I deserved everything he did to me. Logan went very still. I couldn't have children, Vanessa continued, the words spilling out now that she'd started. I was barren. And my husband, he made sure I knew it was my fault, my failure. He said that since I couldn't give him the one thing he wanted, I owed him everything else, my time, my dreams, my body. Her voice cracked. I finally got pregnant. After 12 long years, I was finally pregnant. I was overjoyed, yet terrified, barely believing it was real. I couldn't tell him immediately. I had to be certain. I didn't want to disappoint him. Tears spilled down her cheeks, her voice trembling with every word. He beat me one night when we came home from a party, all because I smiled at his business partner when he said I looked nice. A smile. She swallowed hard. He said I was embarrassing him, flirting. I kept begging him to stop, telling him it was nothing, that I would never do anything to shame him. And when he wouldn't listen, I told him about the baby, weeks earlier than I wanted to, because I thought it would calm him down. Her breath caught. But he called me a liar, said I was trying to trap him. The next thing I remember is waking up in a hospital bed, and they told me the baby was gone. That was the moment I lost it. I had known for a long time that there was nothing left for me in that house, nothing safe, nothing loving, but I was terrified to leave. I had no money, no family, and he made sure I believed I wouldn't survive without him. So I stayed. I convinced myself I could endure it. Her voice trembled. But after the baby, after he took that from me, something inside me broke. I realized it wasn't just my happiness at risk anymore. It was my life, and I couldn't let him take that too. I owed it to the child I never got to meet. I owed it to myself. So I made up my mind to leave. Christ, Logan breathed. Our family doctor, the only person who knew what he'd been doing to me all these years. She helped me fake my death, helped me escape. I ran here with the money she gave me, planning to start over, but I got robbed on my first day, and everything she'd given me was gone. Vanessa met his eyes. Then you found me on that bench.
Logan was silent for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was rough with emotion. I'm sorry. For all of it. You deserve none of that. I used to think I did, Vanessa admitted. But your children, they've reminded me what unconditional love looks like. They love you not because you're perfect, but because you show up. You try. That's what I forgot was possible. Logan reached across the space between them and took her hand carefully, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. She didn't. You're not alone anymore, he said. Not if you don't want to be. Something warm bloomed in Vanessa's chest, fragile and new, but unmistakably real. Hope, again, stronger this time. The months rolled forward and the household found its rhythm. Vanessa became not a replacement mother, but something else entirely, a steady presence that children could depend on. She learned to braid hair and referee arguments. She discovered she had a knack for helping with homework and making grilled cheese sandwiches that were actually edible. The bookstore job gave her a sense of purpose beyond the home. Margaret became a quiet confidant, someone who understood without needing explanations. The work was simple but satisfying, organizing shelves, helping customers find books, learning the rhythms of a small business. The children stopped calling her Ms. Vanessa
and started just calling her Nessa, their own nickname, born from affection rather than obligation.
She started a small garden in the backyard, something she'd always wanted but Mike had never allowed. The quintuplets helped her plant flowers, their hands getting dirty, their laughter filling the air. And slowly, so slowly neither of them acknowledged it, something began to grow between Vanessa and Logan. It was in the way Logan's eyes would linger on Vanessa when she laughed with the children, a softness in his expression he didn't know was there. It was in the way Vanessa's heart would skip when Logan came home from work, how she'd unconsciously listen for his car in the driveway. It was in shared glances over morning coffee that lasted a beat too long, in the brush of hands while washing dishes that sent electricity through both of them, in late-night conversations after the kids were asleep where they talk for hours, neither wanting to say goodnight. But neither of them spoke it aloud. Logan told himself he was still healing, that Vanessa deserved time without pressure, that the children needed stability more than he needed to explore these feelings. Vanessa told herself she was imagining it, that a man like Logan couldn't really see her that way, that she needed to focus on standing on her own feet before she could even think about love again. So they existed in this careful balance, more than friends, not quite something else. A family bound by choice and unspoken feelings neither was ready to name. The first year passed, then stretched into the second. Vanessa's confidence grew. Her nightmares became less frequent. She started to recognize herself in the mirror again. Not the broken woman Mike had created, but someone new, someone stronger. The children were thriving. Nolan had stopped testing Vanessa at every turn. Harper sang while Vanessa brushed her hair each morning. Ryan shared his schoolwork without prompting. Noah told her about his dreams. Harlow called her Nessa, with the same easy affection she used for her father. They had become family, not through blood, but through choice, through showing up every day, through honoring the mother they'd lost while making room for someone new. It was Harlow who said it first, on an ordinary Tuesday evening while they were setting the table for dinner. "Nessa, you're like our family now, right?" Vanessa paused, plates in hand. "I'd like to think so. Do you want me to be?" All 5 children looked at each other, that silent communication only siblings could share. Then they nodded. "You're our Nessa," Harper said firmly. "That makes you family." Vanessa had to excuse herself to cry in the bathroom for a few minutes. Logan found her there, his own eyes suspiciously bright. They mean it, you know. You're not a nanny or someone just staying here or even just a friend. You're part of us now." "I know. That's what scares me. What if I mess this up?" Logan reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear, a gesture so tender that Vanessa's breath caught. His hand lingered for just a moment before he pulled away.
"We're all figuring it out together," he said, his voice rougher than usual. "None of us have the answers, but we have each other. That's enough." Their eyes met, and for a moment the air between them felt charged with everything they weren't saying. Then Logan stepped back, clearing his throat. I should check on dinner." Vanessa nodded, not trusting her voice. The shift came on an unremarkable spring afternoon, nearly 2 years after that November night when Logan had found her on a bench. Vanessa had stopped by Logan's accounting firm to drop off the lunch he'd forgotten. She'd taken a half day from the bookstore and figured she'd surprise him. When she walked into his office, Logan was on the phone, but his face lit up when he saw her. That genuine smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes and made her heart do things she'd been trying to ignore for months. Logan ended the call quickly. "You didn't have to do this." "I know, but you've been working so hard lately, I thought you could use it." Logan stood, rounding his desk. They were close now, closer than necessary, and Vanessa could see the war playing out in his eyes, the same war that had been raging in her own heart for longer than she wanted to admit. "Vanessa," Logan said softly, and something in the way he said her name made her breath catch. "I can't do this anymore." Fear shot through her. "Do what?" "Pretend." He ran a hand through his hair, the gesture agitated. "Pretend that when you walk into a room, my whole world doesn't shift. Pretend that I don't wait for the sound of your voice every morning. Pretend that watching you with my kids doesn't make me fall harder every single day." Vanessa's heart hammered in her chest. You
You love me? How could I not? Logan's voice cracked. You're the strongest person I know. You came into my life with nothing, broken by someone who should have cherished you, and you still chose to love my children. You rebuilt yourself while helping us heal. You're beautiful and brave, and I love you too, Vanessa interrupted, her voice shaking. I've been so afraid to even think it, afraid that wanting something good meant it would be taken away, afraid that you couldn't possibly feel the same way about someone as damaged as... Don't. Logan cupped her face gently, his thumbs wiping away her tears. Don't call yourself damaged. You're not broken, Vanessa. You never were. You survived. You're here. You're whole. I was afraid, she whispered. For 2 years, I felt this growing between us, and I was terrified to name it, terrified to hope. Me too, Logan admitted. I kept telling myself it was too soon, that you needed time, that I was being selfish for even feeling this way. But Vanessa, these 2 years, watching you become yourself again, watching you love my kids, watching you build a life, I fell in love with every version of you. The scared woman I found on that bench, the patient caretaker who won over 5 suspicious children, the independent woman who insisted on getting her own job, the fierce survivor who faced down her past, all of you.
Vanessa reached up, her hands steady now, no longer trembling with fear but strong with certainty, and pulled him closer. I can't promise I won't be scared sometimes, she said. I can't promise I won't have bad days where the past creeps back in. I don't need perfect, Logan said. I just need to be honest. I need you, exactly as you are. And I promise I'll never hurt you. I promise that whatever this is between us, it's real and it's safe. Vanessa kissed him. It was soft and tentative at first, then deeper. 2 years of unspoken feelings, of careful distance, of wanting but not daring to hope, all pouring into this single moment. When they pulled apart, both of them were crying and smiling at the same time. What do we tell the kids? Vanessa asked. The truth, Logan said, that we love each other, that this doesn't change how much we love them, that we're still the same family we've been building, just finally admitting what's been there all along. That evening they sat the quintuplets down, now 8 years old and far more perceptive than anyone gave them credit for. We need to talk to you about something important, Logan began. 5 pairs of eyes watched them curiously. Harper and Nolan exchanged a knowing look. Finally, Harper muttered. What? Logan blinked. You two have been making googly eyes at each other for like forever. We thought you'd never figure it out. Vanessa felt her face heat. You knew? Everyone knew, Ryan said. Mrs. Torrey told us you were clearly smitten like 6 months ago. We had a bet on when you'd finally do something about it, Noah added cheerfully. Harper won. Logan looked at Vanessa, who was torn between embarrassment and laughter. So, you're okay with this? With your dad and me being together? Harlow stood up to Vanessa, taking her hand. Nessa, you've been ours for 2 years now. Dad being happy with you just makes it official. We already told you, you're our family, Harper said, her voice softer than usual. This just means Dad finally got smart enough to see what we've known all along.
Which is? Logan asked. The 5 children looked at each other, then back at their father and Vanessa. That you belong together, Nolan said simply. All 7 of us. But healing is never linear, and the past doesn't stay buried forever. 6 months later, 2.5 years after Vanessa had arrived, she saw it. A news article online about Mike. He was being interviewed for a charity event, speaking eloquently about supporting grieving spouses, his perfect smile plastered across the screen. Vanessa's hands shook so violently she dropped her phone. Logan found her in the bathroom, sitting on the floor, hyperventilating. He's still out there, living his perfect life, pretending to be some kind of saint while I'm supposed to be dead, and he gets to just... Hey. Logan knelt beside her, careful not to crowd her. Breathe with me. In and out. You're safe. He killed our baby.
He beat me for 12 years, and the world thinks he's some kind of hero." Logan helped her to her feet, guided her to the couch, and just held her while she fell apart. When she'd cried herself out, he asked the question gently. "What do you want to do?" "What can I do? I'm dead, remember? If I come forward, I'm admitting I faked my death. I could go to jail." "Mrs. Priscilla, the doctor who helped you, does she still have the medical records?" Vanessa looked up, hope and fear warring in her expression. "She said she kept everything, just in case." "Then you have evidence. Evidence of 12 years of abuse, of what he did to you, to your baby." Logan took her hands. "Vanessa, you don't have to let him win. Not anymore. I'm scared." "I know. But you're not alone this time." Logan's voice was fierce. "You have me. You have the kids. You have a whole life now that he can't touch. And Margaret at the bookstore. She'll testify about the shape you were in when you first arrived. Mrs. Torrey saw you that first week. You have people who will stand by you." The next morning, Vanessa called Mrs. Priscilla. The doctor still had everything. Photos of injuries documented over the years, medical records of the miscarriages, notes about the final beating that had cost Vanessa her baby and nearly her life. "I kept them because I knew you might need them someday. I knew he didn't deserve to walk free." With Logan by her side and a lawyer Mrs. Priscilla recommended, Vanessa did the hardest thing she'd ever done. She came forward. The media storm was immediate and brutal. Vanessa Hayes, presumed dead, resurfaces with shocking abuse allegations against prominent businessman Mike Hayes. Mike's response was predictable: denial, claims that she was mentally unstable, threats of lawsuits. But Vanessa had evidence: 12 years of documented abuse, medical records, photos, Mrs. Priscilla's testimony, Margaret's statement about the condition Vanessa had been in when she started at the bookstore, Mrs. Torrey's account of the frightened woman who'd appeared in Logan's home. The quintuplets heard bits and pieces despite Logan's efforts to shield them. One evening, Nolan approached Vanessa in the kitchen. "The kids at school said you were married to a bad man? That he hurt you?" Vanessa's heart sank. She knelt to his level. "Yes, that's true." "Like, really hurt you?" "Yes." Nolan's young face was fierce. "If he ever comes here, I'll protect you. I'm strong now." Vanessa pulled him into a hug, tears streaming. "You already protect me, sweetheart. All of you do. You remind me every day what love is supposed to look like." Harper appeared in the doorway, the other three trailing behind her. "You're the bravest person I know, Nessa. Braver than any superhero." "We love you," Harlow added simply.
Ryan nodded solemnly. "And we're going to stand with you, all of us. Even if it gets hard," Noah added. And just like that, surrounded by 5 8-year-olds who'd claimed her as their own, Vanessa found the strength to see it through. The trial was grueling. Mike tried every tactic: character assassination, manipulation, using his wealth and connections to paint Vanessa as a liar and a fraud. But the evidence was overwhelming. Mrs. Priscilla's testimony was damning. Margaret testified about Vanessa's physical and emotional state when she'd first hired her, the flinching, the fear, the way she'd worked through panic attacks in the back room. Mrs. Torrey described the terrified woman who'd appeared at Logan's house with nothing but the clothes on her back. And when the jury saw the photos, Vanessa's bruised body, the medical reports of broken ribs, the documentation of the miscarriage caused by blunt force trauma, there was no denying the truth. Michael Hayes was found guilty on multiple charges: domestic violence, assault, coercion, and more. When the verdict was read, Vanessa didn't feel triumph, just exhaustion and relief. It was over. Logan was waiting outside the courtroom with the quintuplets who'd insisted on coming even though they couldn't go inside. They rushed to her, 5 bodies colliding with hers in a group hug that nearly knocked her over. "You did it!" Noah cheered. "He can't hurt you anymore," Ryan said seriously. "Can we go home now?" Harlow asked.
Home. Yes, they could go home. 6 months later, on a perfect autumn day, Vanessa stood in the garden she'd planted with 5 eager helpers. She wore a simple white dress, flowers from the garden in her hair. The quintuplets stood around her, Nolan and Ryan in tiny suits, Noah with a ring-bearer's pillow, Harper and Harlow in matching lavender dresses with flowers woven into their curls.
Logan stood beneath an arch they'd all built together, looking at Vanessa like she'd hung the stars. "You sure about this?" he'd asked the night before. "Instant family of 7 is a lot." Vanessa had laughed. "I've been sure since the moment 5 kids decided I was theirs." Now, as they said their vows in front of a small gathering of friends, Mrs. Torrey, Mrs. Priscilla, Margaret from the bookstore, Logan's colleagues, Vanessa felt a completeness she'd never imagined possible. When it came time for Noah to bring the rings, he stopped and looked at Vanessa seriously. "Our mom would have liked you," he said. "She would have wanted Dad to be happy again. And us too." Vanessa's voice was thick with emotion. "I'll never try to replace her, Noah. I promise." "We know," Harper said, stepping forward. "You're not our mom. You're our Nessa. That's different, but it's good." The ceremony continued with tears and laughter. And when Logan kissed his bride, 5 children cheered so loudly the neighbors probably heard. That evening, after the celebration, after the kids had gone to bed, Vanessa and Logan stood in their garden under the stars. "Thank you," Vanessa said softly. "For what?" "For seeing me that night. For stopping. For offering me more than shelter. For offering me a family. For giving me 2 years to heal before asking for more." Logan pulled her close. "You gave us just as much, maybe more. You taught our kids that it's okay to love again without forgetting. You taught me that broken doesn't mean finished. And you taught all of us that family isn't just about biology or even marriage. It's about choosing each other every single day."